The National Policy Forum was first introduced under Partnership in Power under Tony Blair, and although it was conceived and sold as a way of involving the diverse membership of the Labour Party, grassroots members, trade unions, in policy making in between annual conferences, the way it was implemented, stacked with representatives of the Parliamentary Labour Party, the Association of Labour Councillors, means that its main function has actually been to stifle member involvement in policy making. There's 162 members of the National Policy Forum in total. Only 55 are directly elected by constituency members through OMOV. For many, many years, constituencies used to be able to send contemporary motions to Labour Party conference, and the at best anodyne reports from policy commissions were used to rule out these motions because allegedly they were on a topic already discussed. So actually the way the policy forum's been implemented is to stop constituencies discussing what they want to discuss. And of course, the discussion had not already taken place, or if it had, it'd been involved, 6 people rather than the thousands at conference. And from 1998 onwards, the Campaign for Labour Party Democracy has done its very best to chip away at this process and has had some limited success. So the introduction of OMOV, one member, one vote elections for MPF CLP representatives has meant that of those 55 current CLP representatives, many of them are on the left when they were elected in 2018, at a time when we were doing well as the left in elections. It means that we've got, there's a lot of very good representatives on the National Policy Forum. And one of the other sort of victories that we've had over the years in terms of rule changes is the right to refer back policy documents at Labour Party conference, which means that the conference no longer has to take it or leave it. It can say there are bits of this policy document I disagree with. And with Jeremy's democracy review, I should say Jeremy and Claudia's democracy review, because of Claudia's involvement, we managed at long last to sweep away the restrictive contemporary criteria for motions to conference and more than double the number of motions discussed and restore a genuine policy making conference. But despite the findings of the democracy review in 2018, that the MPF was not fit for purpose, and more importantly did not have the confidence of the membership in being able to contribute to policy making, what we haven't been able to do yet is actually get rid of it, because we haven't yet found an alternative that the NEC can agree, because luckily by this point the trade unions have quite rightly worked out how the MPF can be used to promote their policies, and we need to do the same as grassroots members. And of course we need to work together where we agree so that more progressive policies can be agreed through the National Policy Forum. But to fast forward to where we are now, here we are with a new leader and suddenly a new renewed interest in the National Policy Forum, to the extent that despite not yet being able to meet officially at CLPs, despite being slap bang in the middle of a national crisis, despite annual conference being cancelled, so there being no requirement for policy commission reports, and despite the NEC before Jeremy stopped being leader rejecting the paper that said a new policy consultation should start, lo and behold, we have a new policy consultation. You can see all the consultation documents at policyforum.labour.org.uk, and they take the form of a sort of 2 or 3 page narrative followed by 5 questions. And we have until 30th of June to engage with each of these policy documents. And it does appear very much to me that it's an attempt to start from year 0 when it comes to policy making. And as I say, to disregard our progressive policies that we have passed at annual conference, now that we have many more motions that we can pass, and that were enshrined in our general election manifesto. And there also seems to be a very, absolutely disgraceful attempt to use the cover of coronavirus not to completely rethink our economy and show the failings of capitalism, but actually to start from scratch on policy. So in my policy commission meeting a couple of weeks ago, the draft document was presented as the start of a policy cycle where we go back to basics and start again for 2024. Obviously, I suggested this was not the case and that we had an excellent manifesto less than 6 months ago. And of course, Becky Long-Bailey, as the Shadow Secretary for Education, backed me up, but that won't be the same in every policy commission. So we have a fight on our hands. And one way we can do that is to put in as many submissions as possible. And it shows you how to do that on the website. So people should go to the policyforum.labour.org.uk website and submit your views on the documents through there. And we can do that as individuals, or we can organise informal meetings locally in our branches, in our CLPs, as a wider county meetings or so on, whatever you feel works for your area. And these will be submitted to the policy commissions, where we do have good people on each and every one of them who can then pick up those submissions, and they can address any issue at all, or they can address the narrative of the document, or they can specifically answer the question. So really, whatever works for you will enable the people who support a left agenda in the Labour Party to pick it up and make that case at the policy commission. And by having plenty of submissions defending our progressive policy, it really can put pressure on the front bench and enable commission members to put pressure on the front bench to make the outcomes of the consultation as representative of the submissions as possible. There's a lot of work to do on this, but it's a definite example of pressure, and we have until the 30th of June to make our mark. And let's be clear, if we don't do it, there are others who will do it. So we must make our voice heard. It's not totally clear at the moment at what point there will be policy commission reports and when there are, whether we vote on them. But in a normal year, the reports coming out of this consultation would go to annual conference, and we would have the opportunity to get up as delegates and say, no, this does not reflect the submissions we made, or yes, this is in line with our manifesto and in line with our views, and we pass it, or we want to refer back bits of it. Don't know quite how that's going to work this year, but certainly this is a real opportunity. We have the next month to get our submissions in, so I really would urge you to do so.